Before Tom Cruise donned the sunglasses and mounted the GPZ900R in the film Top Gun, Kawasaki had already etched its name in history. It was the pioneering motorcycle to surpass 240 kilometers per hour with a 16-valve engine and the essence of a missile. However, when it made its appearance in the movies, it became truly immortalized. It wasn't merely about speed, it was about attitude and a defiant style. Today I will explain how the GPZR transformed into an icon both on the screen and on the asphalt. Put on your helmet and experience the feeling of being Maverick. In the early 1980s, superbikes were indeed beasts on wheels, but they were also quite heavy, comparable to a refrigerator with a fully stocked freezer. The majority of them weighed in at over 220 kilograms when dry. And the power-to-weight ratio was not consistently optimal. They were indeed brutal motorcycles, yet they were also awkward in corners and tiring on extended journeys. They were akin to a muscle. Without refined technique, it was powerful, yet lacked precision. Then, in December of the year 1983, Kawasaki unveiled a groundbreaking innovation: the GPZR. It was the very first motorcycle to officially carry the esteemed name Ninja. And it was not merely a marketing strategy, it was a bold declaration of war. It was not simply an evolution, it was a complete reinvention of the superbike concept. A new inline four-cylinder engine with 16 valves, liquid cooling, and 908 cubic centimeters. Mounted on a compact and low-profile chassis that made the motorcycle feel remarkably agile like a 600, yet with the powerful punch of an 1100. And the most astonishing part, initially it appeared tame at low revolutions. The GPZR was smooth, progressive, and almost elegant in its demeanor. Perfect for navigating peacefully without feeling frightened. However, once you surpassed 8,000 revolutions per minute, it was like an explosion. Not in the literal sense, but almost. It transformed into a rocket, a missile on wheels, a profound roar that escalated in pitch, reminiscent of an F-14 preparing for takeoff. A clear nod to Top Gun, obviously. It was the sensation of being on something you shouldn't be able to control with such ease. However, you are indeed accomplishing it. That is precisely how Kawasaki redefined the established rules. It abandoned sheer raw muscle and introduced refined power with Japanese precision and the nerve of a samurai. And in that moment, my friends, the legendary Ninja was born. The GPZ900R was equipped with an engine that appeared as if it was directly sourced from a futuristic spaceship. It featured an inline four-cylinder engine boasting 908 cubic centimeters, dual overhead camshafts, and advanced liquid cooling technology. Something that, during that era, sounded as cutting-edge as a stereo VHS system. Rather than utilizing electronic fuel injection, which was still largely considered science fiction for the majority, it employed 36mm Mikuni carburetors, meticulously adjusted with the precision akin to that of a Japanese surgeon. The power output was an impressive 115 horsepower at 9,500 RPM. Does that seem small to you? I doubt it. In 1984, it was remarkable. It outperformed motorcycles with 2,100 cubic centimeters, but weighed less and accelerated as if it had a firecracker under the seat. It could go from 0 to 100 in less than 3.8 seconds and exceed 240 kilometers per hour. The most impressive part was achieving it without shaking like a broken blender or making your teeth loose. It was refined power, not raw. It was the superbike that felt futuristic, yet had the nostalgic scent of aged gasoline. The chassis was essentially the Ninja's skeleton. It was not merely any ordinary chassis. It utilized a double-cradle tubular steel frame where the engine functioned as a structural component, signifying that the engine not only propelled the motorcycle but also provided support. This enhancement in rigidity significantly reduced the overall weight and provided the sensation that the motorcycle was seamlessly molded into a unified piece. At the front, it featured a fork equipped with the Automatic Variable Damping System, AVDS, which effectively prevented diving during intense braking. A semi-intelligent mechanism that effectively prevented the front end from diving like a flan on a downhill slope. At the rear, it featured a monoshock with a cantilever-type swing arm, which was considered cutting-edge technology during that period. The outcome? A motorcycle that not only accelerated rapidly in a straight trajectory, but also adeptly navigated curves, which was a remarkable innovation for a sports bike of that particular era. Aerodynamics and ergonomics. The bullet train, with a license to eliminate the aerodynamic design, was heavily inspired by Japanese bullet trains. The comprehensive fairing not only gave it an aggressive appearance, which it certainly did, but it also significantly reduced aerodynamic drag and shielded you from the wind as if you were encapsulated in a bubble at 200 kilometers per hour. The riding posture was sporty, yet not excessively extreme. You could lean forward to race or sit upright for cruising without ending up in an awkward position. The slightly elevated handlebars, smooth operating controls, and well-cushioned seat were all meticulously designed to blend speed with comfort, something that seemed nearly impossible in those days when racing typically meant enduring discomfort. In the year 1986, the world was not completely prepared for the cinematic experience of the movie Top Gun. Tom Cruise, donning a leather jacket with a quintessential 80s heartthrob smile and aviator sunglasses, transformed into Pete Maverick Mitchell. And accompanying him, the Kawasaki GPZ900R transitioned from being merely a fast motorcycle to becoming an undeniable icon. It wasn't merely a simple appearance. It wasn't just another motorcycle featured in an action-packed movie. It was undoubtedly the motorcycle. When Tom Cruise speeds down the runway alongside the formidable F-14 Tomcats, the Kawasaki GPZ900R isn't merely part of the scene, it's vying with it. During an era when airplanes were the ultimate emblem of technological supremacy, the Ninja demonstrated that a motorcycle could be equally as remarkable. That brief cameo lasting less than a minute was sufficient to transform it into an immediate legend. It became the ultimate holy grail of two wheels for an entire generation. Thousands upon thousands of teenagers witnessed it and thought, I want to be Maverick, or at the very least, possess his motorcycle. And it wasn't solely on the cinematic screen. Following its release, sales surged significantly at dealerships worldwide, with the GPZ900R being demanded as the Top Gun motorcycle, as though the Ninja emblem were optional and the surname Cruise was emblazoned on the fuel tank. From that specific moment onward, the Kawasaki stopped being just a machine of precise engineering. It evolved into a symbol of rebellion, freedom, and cinematic speed. It was comparable to the James Dean of sports motorcycles, the Mustang of two-wheeled vehicles, the embodiment of rock and roll on wheels. And even though Top Gun eventually had its sequel many years afterward, the GPZ900R needed nothing more than that initial scene to remain etched in the collective memory. The GPZ900R continued its production run until the year 2003 in Japan. It underwent enhancements in its suspension system, braking mechanisms, cooling efficiency, and engine mapping. However, it consistently maintained its robust, streamlined, and innovative character, preserving the original fairing and chassis design. It delivered exceptional performance for valid reasons. It was efficient in every aspect and swift in any location. What contributed to its success? It effectively combined a dry weight of 228 kilograms with unrefined power, boasting an impressive 115 horsepower. It accelerated with brutal force without losing control, thanks to the compact and well-balanced engine. It was remarkably comfortable for touring and highly efficient for tackling challenging curves, a perfect blend indeed. It was the very genesis of the entire modern Ninja saga. It served as an inspiration for the whole industry. Yamaha, Suzuki, and Honda had to respond with models that were even more refined in terms of performance and handling, and it is still worthwhile today, of course. The engine is robust and straightforward to maintain, with readily available spare parts and an active community. Chrome collectors appreciate its sharp lines and manageable weight. It embodies timeless class. If you happen to discover one that is well preserved, you acquire a piece of moving history that continues to roar with both authority and style. The GPZ900R was indeed the inaugural Ninja. It was the machine that propelled speed to its utmost limit without sacrificing any elegance. It went from reaching speeds of 250 km/h to starring in iconic movie scenes, securing its place in history. Today, it still waits, ready to cover countless miles and bring a smile. Riding a GPZ900R lets you truly feel its smoothness and power. It's a mix of Formula One and a high-speed bullet train. This motorcycle changed the game and reminds you every time you twist the throttle. And if you desire to encounter its younger sibling equipped with a turbocharger, click on this video and we shall meet you there.